Okay, this is an intervention. Internet, you're addicted to evil fictional characters. Yes, I'm talking about your bad boy prom, your fascist prom, your blonde racist prom, the morally gray abusers prom, all 32 flavors of toxic, and that one cat. Please, I'm begging you, stop trying to fix them, or saying that you'll make them worse. Y'all have a problem, or do you? Like, does it really matter what your fictional crush does? Is your fantasy about being locked in a room, gagged and taken, really a reflection of your values, or did you just grow up watching Beauty and the Beast? Well, the answer is actually pretty simple. It depends.
Move this man!
I'm sorry, but the complicated topic has a complicated answer. But it's something that we do gotta talk about, since the divide between lusting after fun villains versus the sensitive subject matter attached is at the heart of today's ship. Vox and Valentino from Has-Been Hotel. One is an evil CEO and the other one is a Weinstein. And you can't really talk about Val without bringing up all the real world shit attached. It's complicated, but the internet makes it both better and worse, so we really do have to try and, well, explain the difference. So context. Vox and Valentino comprise 2/3 of the V's, a media conglomerate in hell that comprises of tech, entertainment, and exploitation.
Fuck you! Now shoo!
These demons are former humans who died, and then somehow managed to make hell worse. The V's are what are known as overlords. Just think rich people, rather than having just money, they literally own the souls of their employees. To become an overlord, you either have to be the strongest or be the most efficient at exploiting the people around you, which, to remind everyone, is a bad thing. However, when it comes to animated villainy, unless we see it, it's basically a victimless crime. In fact, for something like a cartoon, where we fully expect the villains to be awful, everything that the V's are doing is pretty much just expected levels of evil. Vox and Val joke about shooting the lowest earners as a way to relieve stress. It's heinous, but it's fun. Most importantly though, it's even a way that's disconnected from our reality. While there is a lot of crazy stuff going on in the world, I doubt most people will ever see their bosses shoot someone for shits and giggles. This disconnect is part of the appeal of dastardly evil, where villains get to break the rules and indulge in being the worst, with there being just a level of camp and fun to it, where even if we hate them, the ability of the villains to break those rules adds to their appeal. Good or bad, they command your attention with their audacity. It's fun to see people who are just unapologetically themselves, regardless of, well, consequences. As we live in a world full of rules, so seeing people be their uncut selves, and for better or worse, people find that captivating. However, while the appeal of villains is based on the reality, the crimes they do often aren't. Sure, the feelings for why they do them may come from a real place, like being petty, but most people won't ever hear about someone getting tied to train tracks or robbing a bank. Villains can be awful, but so long as their actions don't reflect something that we've experienced in our own lives, people will not care and just give it a pass. Hence why audiences tend to be more mad at people that are annoying or do just comparatively lesser crimes, but if they're things we've actually experienced, then those characters will get way more flack, despite the show always having a literal war criminal in it. If what the villain does is something that people have experienced in their own lives, then that just triggers a whole other set of emotions and feelings that some people would rather not deal with. Hence why I'm more cautious talking about Valentino versus my man crush Vox. Vox is a fun fail villain who oozes confidence till he finds out his old rival and daddy Alistair is back, with Vox trying to go on the offensive only to get taken to school and humiliated in front of the entire city by a dude with a podcast. Vox wants to be on top of the world, he's evil, but he's also terrified of Alistair, and that combination is just hilarious to watch. I have no extra complications that make me say I shouldn't be loving this character, as what he does may be bad, there's no real world trauma connected to it. But then we have the pimp. Valentino is a dime a dozen abuser who has a very nice fantasy coat of paint. He is terrible, and it doesn't matter how many accents he switched to, that fact about him will never change, with it being all but said aloud what he did and is doing to Angel Dust. So this makes how the show handles him all the more complicated, as on one hand, yeah, the show wants to make him this fun accent shifting villain. He's made a temperamental idiot who's ready to shoot up a hotel for the non-crime of letting his victim stay there. He completely ignores Alistair being back to rail against the mere idea of Angel flirting with another man. But then episode 4 happens, and and the real nature comes through. Angel's position as his victim becoming very clear, with the long-lasting effects also being present. Valentino's portrayal is as heavy here as it was light in the previous episode, and this makes talking about him difficult, especially if it's any positive way, as I can gush about just how fun Vox is and how much it is just great to watch him suffer with his very temperamental partner. We, however, have seen what that temper can also do, and that for me does take a lot of the fun out of things. It adds an extra wrinkle that I'm like, okay, I can talk about this, but there are so many caveats to it that it's basically not worth doing. Now, I'm not here to say that people shouldn't be able to enjoy problematic subject matter in private and within reason, as there is some shit where I am, no, we're not going there. But I very much understand why people enjoying certain topics can be difficult and complicated for those with way more skin in the game than I, as salivating over a fictional character who did what he did mirrors the real world experience of many victims, with attempts to speak up getting shut down, mocked, or only valid till the person makes another hit, can lead to people being very touchy about how subject matter is portrayed in media. Our taste in media doesn't define who we are, nor does our kinks, so Hazbin Hotel touching on this subject isn't an automatic foul. It's really based on how actual survivors feel about it, who hopefully aren't just getting shouted down by people who just want another reason to hate this show. Personally, I love Vox, but while I think Valentino could be fun, personality is something, I think the subject matter for me makes so I can't help but throw a little bit of side eye at him whenever he pops up. Love the design, great performance, but if we're talking ships, while I'm happy that some people can find joy with shipping him with Vox, I'm not gonna be in the trenches defending people. As if you're posting online, especially when certain platforms are an absolute cesspool, you kinda have to be ready for the backlash. So while I've had fun talking about villain couples in the past, this is one of those ships where the problems involved with the characters will derail any attempt to talk about them as a couple. Yes, Velvet implies the two of them are banging, with it being Vox's job to manage Val's tantrums, with it being so common that the man is waiting for him to show up in his room. It's fun to watch Vox be genuinely frustrated by Val's everything, with him having to manage the man into not being stupid, appeasing him with the idea of killing somebody else. This is entertaining, with it being obvious that Vox is not having nearly as much fun, as we watch the smile on his face die the second he's behind Val's back. We even see Val be able to get under Vox's skin by dangling the fact that Alistair's returned over him, and just shrugging through most of his stress. All these things could make for a fun dynamic to explore, but it always comes back to Valentino's obsession with angel dust, both in the show and for my own personal thoughts on them. So, and this video is probably already gonna get flagged, and most importantly, I don't feel like I'm really qualified to get into it. But when it comes to liking villains, typically I think it's fine. There's a lot of fun to be had with characters that are over the top and horrible, especially the ones that go into touchy subjects. However, everyone has different personal limits on what behavior and topics they want to engage with. With online Discord being what it is, and is honestly often impossible to manage productively, you really have to sometimes pick and choose your battles, and also acknowledge the fact that there's a whole subgenre of romance novels centered around less than consensual couples. Being able to choose to engage with it is huge, and I think that, and the consequences, is why I'm noping the fuck out of any Valentino video. Maybe I'll talk about Vox and Alistair, but no Val. Too much, especially for a silly shipping video like this. Though yes, I will absolutely be talking about Husker Dust. Alright, this has been Sarcastic Chorus. Do the things.